Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Increase Your Cash Flow. My name is Dominique Velger. I am the Community Engagement Specialist, and joining me today is my colleague, Terrence Bazil. He's also the Community Engagement Specialist, and behind the scenes will be Migdalia Gomez. She is our AVP of Community Engagement, and also joining us is our special guest from HUCTW, is Laura Beth Ebenstein. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We're going to all go off camera to start the webinar. But before we get started, I wanted to talk about what the difference between a credit union and a bank. So the credit union really focuses on just a lot of the different the products that we have. So we are just like a bank. We have all the different products, we have checking, savings, we have loans, and a lot of different products. And you can also access us anywhere. We just operate just like a bank. You can do it online. You can go in person at any of our branches. And once you're a member for life. So if you have family, like your children, your spouse, they can become members as well. And we want to also talk about the fact that we have a free service for our members. We partnered up with this called Thrive. It's our financial wellness. And on here, you can access it on huecu.org/thrive. So there are a variety of different products on there. You have a lot of different blogs, workshops, and different worksheets, and just short videos just on your own time. If you wanted to learn about any particular topic, we'll have that on there. And if you wanted to just play around and look at the calculators as far as your budgets, that's on there as well. And before I forget, we have a new branch. It's been open for a few months now, and it's right in the Longwood Medical area. It's near Beth Israel's West Campus. And it's right underneath the Jocelyn Diabetes Center, and they're the what is the other one? Terrence, help me out. The Smart Greens?
Right near Sweet Green.
Right next to Sweet Greens. Thank you so much. And so just visit us. We'd love to see you. So we're going to get started. So we're talking about ways to increase your cash flow. So we want to do that by reducing your expenses. You want to defer your expenses and increase your income. And also wanted to let everyone know, Terrence will be putting just links throughout in the chat. And if you have any questions, just put that in the Q&A and we'll answer them as we go along. Next slide, please. So before we get started, in order to kind of move forward, you need to know, okay, what exactly do I have? You need the whole map. So you want to understand what you have. So you want to keep track of everything what's going in, what's coming out. So that will help you figure out what your first steps will be in terms of increasing your cash flow. So for 2 weeks, you want to go and check your statements, keep track of everything, what's going in, even down to the penny. See what expenses that you have every few months, right? And then you want to set alerts on your spending. You can do that on your phone. You can put it on your calendar on your phone, just to kind of get a sense of, okay, this is due on the 19th, this is due on the 13th, whatever. So just to keep you on track of what you need to do. And also want to know the cost of all of your debt. And then there are different budgeting tools that we have that can help. So my mother is one of those people who use the envelope method. And funny, my sister and I used to make fun of her and go, oh, why is she using an envelope? That's so weird. But it worked for her. So everything had a destination. So she would put, the rent, groceries, savings, checking, our tuition. And then, I actually use that method right now. And so it actually works. And now I laugh at myself and we make fun of how, things turn around. There are other ones that you can do online to just kind of budget. And then there are, people like spreadsheets. You can use the Excel one. And then there is Mint and other apps. And I know, Terrence, you had a few other apps that you use as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I use Personal Capital. I even take advantage of the budgeting function that HUECU offers. It's actually pretty cool inside the checking account, but there are other apps like Mint. As I mentioned, personal capital, Remit Sathya has a couple different ones. And honestly, I personally like using the apps because I like having all of the information I need at my fingertips. And that doesn't mean each method has to be the hard and fast rule of what is the best way to budget, but we really want to just drive home that there's multiple different ways to increase your financial goals and multiple different ways to use budgeting tools. It really depends on what system, what money management system works best for you and your personality and aligns with your life. So that way it's still convenient and still fits in. So that way it doesn't feel like a chore. You want it to be a little bit fun, even though it can be dry at some times.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Terrence. And yes, the dreaded emergency fund. I know it's not something that we want to talk about, but emergencies happen. Life happens. And I can share a few of my experiences as far as emergencies. So what you want to try to do is have 3 months of expenses, or 6 months of expenses, and start small. You can do $50, $250. So if that's too much for you, $5, $10 works just as well. And I say that because just a few months ago, I'm driving and I'm in Randolph and I heard this noise and I'm thinking, what is going on? That can't be my car. I keep going. And then the car is moving really slow. So I pulled over, put my hazards on, and I look, oh gosh, it's my car, but I don't know what the heck is wrong. Something is underneath. So long story short, call AAA, and $800 later. So I wasn't too worried because I had the emergency fund I could pull from, but I really wasn't trying to spend that money because I was focused on going to a trip, to Ghana. But I had the emergency fund. So things happen, especially if you have an older car like I do. Little things, will break here and there. So you want to always be ready and prepared for those little things that will always pop up on you and surprise you.
And I just want to add and acknowledge, we do know right now inflation is very high and it can be difficult to save for an emergency fund and pay bills and put money towards investments for your future. It's hard. And realistically, it's the only best way to say that is to do them parallel, where you're able to set aside $5 here and set $5 towards paying down credit. And if you're not able to hit your target goal for that month, try again next month. I know personally me, you know what? I have set a goal of trying to hit 250 in January, and then February came along and said, you know what? I just can't do it between birthdays and holidays. It's just not something that I can do. But I know come March, I have to keep going, try again. And if I hit $50 as opposed to 250, that's still something small that will help me when emergency happens. Not if, when, because flat tires pop up and at the worst times.
Yes, they do, and they cost us a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
And I wanted to remind you that we will be having an America Saves Week, and that's coming up actually next week, starting Monday. But for the 2 of those days, we will be hosting a webinar, and that would be on Thursday, March 2nd, and it's the debt repayment strategies. And Friday, saving at any age. We'll have someone who is early career, someone who's mid-career, and someone who's sort of closer to retirement. And that will be Friday the 3rd from noon until 1. And you still have time to register. So go on hucecu.org/America-Saves.
I went ahead and put that link in the chat as well. So if anybody wants to
Awesome.
sign up right now, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Terrence. And also about reducing expenses. So that's another way you can try to save money. I know Terrence is a big fan of MVNO.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
sure.
not a fan, so I'm going to give that to you.
Oh, of course. So MVNOs are a little bit of a newer thing that's been going on. They're your Metro PCSs, your Cricket Wirelesses, your Mint Mobiles, and to sum it all up in a really short, succinct way, it's a cost-effective phone carrier that will operate on the cell towers of the bigger brands, such as your T-Mobile, your Verizon's, and your AT&T. However, there is a bit of a caveat where you won't have the same access to the amount of gigs. The bigger brands will say, hey, unlimited free everything. The MVNOs will kind of limit you to like 35 gigs per month. And I would suggest you do your own research to see if this is an option that works for you, because it is very cost effective and it can provide you the same level of service and coverage. But you really want to get into the details as far as the internet usage and this work from home world that we're in right now. I have Wi-Fi available, and there are ways to get around that. But I do want to put it out there as a cost-effective way to in the immediate term, save your costs on phone bills and increase the cash flow. There's also private label items such as buying generic at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Market Basket, and really taking advantage of some of those not name brand products, but products that are just as good as name brand that usually come at a lower cost. And
Absolutely.
mhm. There's also energy efficient homes. I know the Mass Save loan is available not only for homeowners but renters as well. You can get energy efficient light bulbs. Have a person come out to say, hey, these are some of the tools and recommendations that we offer that we recommend to you as a renter to say, hey, let's save some money. There's also reviewing your subscription services. This is a big one. I realized that I was paying for things that I necessarily don't use anymore, such as Netflix and even Audible. I was paying $15 a month for Audible because I like to listen to books at night on my commute in or even when I'm going to bed. And thankfully, through the great knowledge of Dominique, I was able to learn about the library, which I should have known beforehand. And I was able to get access to free books, free Audible, and still have the same great service, but pay absolutely nothing for it. Dominique, you want to
Yes,
talk about that?
the library is like a great resource, and you can have a physical card the old school way, or you can also do it online, an e-card, and that e-card has a lot of different bargains and stuff for like the museum, the aquarium, especially like this for I think many people, their children are on vacation this week. So you have a library card, you can take them to the museum, access to 2 hours of the computer at the library. And then we're fortunate enough to live in New England, and we have the Cape. So if you are one of the people who visit the Cape a lot, they have discount. When you take the ferry ride to the Cape, you can use a library card to access some discounts to the ferry to go to the Cape. And so there are a lot of different really bargain stuff just by having your library card. So just sign up for it and it's free. And then reducing your expenses where food is concerned. I know many times I've gone to the grocery store and I'm starving and I end up, spending a good $200. And I'm thinking, well, what did I spend it on? There's nothing, especially now, there's nothing in my cart that's worthy of $200. So I started doing a few things. So planning ahead, I make sure I eat before I go to the grocery store. And I have a specific grocery stores that I go to so that I know exactly what things are. I make my list and I just hit those aisles right away. And because it's set up so that you go in and by the time you hit every aisle, you want everything. And then, which is, it sits in your house. You don't end up not eating it. It goes bad, or you forget all about it. So one of the things I also do is cook at home, and we're still early in the year and many of us have made, New Year's resolutions. So one of the best ways to keep your New Year's resolution, especially many of us are probably thinking, oh, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do this. If you cook at home, you bring it to you at work, or you have it while you're, working from home, it's easier to just pop it in the microwave or, heat it up really quickly because it's already made. You don't have to worry about calling Uber Eats or any of those things so that you don't have to spend additional money. Any other tips from you, Terrence?
Oh, definitely. Use that food at home. I do that personally. I try to wait and I try to make every single thing I have in my freezer in my pantry stretch for as long as I can. Sometimes I'm having some weird funky pasta or spaghetti or mac and cheese with some ground beef, or whatever I do, I try to make my grocery list or the shopping I did at the beginning of the month last me to the very end. And it does help. I have some very creative meals, and it is meal prepping in a way. Saves you some money, and I'm able to stick in line with my goals that I had set at the beginning of the year. Um,
And even
Now,
some benefits and perks. We have a lot of great benefits and perks from outings and innings. I've used them to take my goddaughters to some, shows, and they've really enjoyed it. So those are really good ways to save money. And as well as, like for me, my alma mater, just for car insurance purposes, I save $500 because they have a deal with a particular insurance company. So those are little things that, that will definitely save you money. And even looking at your phone carrier, I know like T-Mobile, Verizon, they have different days that they have all these different things. Like if you're buying flowers or if you go to a particular restaurant, those little deals, they add up and they'll save you a lot of money as well. I know you talked about one earlier about health insurance and going to the gym, Terrence.
oh yes, thank you for reminding me, Dominique. Definitely. So you are, and I want to be pretty clear about this. If you do attend the gym, you're able to have a portion of the costs associated with you attending reimbursed to you at the end of the year, as long as you submit it by a certain deadline. And each health insurance provider will be a little bit tricky and unique as far as what the requirements are before you can qualify. But it is a great way to still be healthy and attend that gym that you like. I don't know how, whatever, between Workout World, LA Fitness, or even something at Harvard, have that resubmitted. So that way you're able to reap the benefits of being healthy and increase your cash flow at the end of the year, especially around Christmas time with buying presents. That might really come in as like a nice perk for you.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. And then we're also coming up in the home buying forum. So I'll let you speak on that.
Definitely. And I know this might be a little bit of a tough slide, but I do want to point your direction to March 10th and look at the affordable paths to home ownership session. We do know inflation, savings, and whatnot might be not in your mind right now to buy a house. However, at least getting the information, getting prepared for it, so that way when you do feel financially ready and comfortable, you're that much more prepared to participate in the home buying session and take advantage of what the market has to offer. So if anybody is interested in it, I would direct your attention to March 10th, Affordable Path to Home Ownership. We will be offering some great tips and cost-effective ways to get into that idealized home ownership path.
And then the sessions will be recorded as well. So even if you're not able to, attend them live each and every day, we will have them on our YouTube channel at My HUECU.
Now, as Dominique and I have talked about different ways to save money, I would like to prompt everyone to utilize the Q&A function, so that way you can share with us, how do you save money? And as that's happening, I'll set a little timer for 1 minute here. And Dominique, I'm going to ask you to bring up some of your tips, and as well as Laura, who's online in the background, to please tell us, what do you recommend? But let's first start with Dominique. How do you save money?
So there's a particular Stop and Shop not too far from me. So I started noticing in the back, like in the groceries section, the produce section, they had this little cart thing. And I'm like, what the heck is that? So I went to look. So every Sunday afternoon, Monday, like they have all these fruits, and then they mark them down to like $1. And I was thinking, like, why? So, and I buy it all the time. So I save money that way. And they also have like salmon, so that I can, they, like, if it's just a big piece and it's just a little piece and they can't sell it, I save money that way as well. I use cards that give me cash back. So, and then I pay it at the end of the month. And then I use it for groceries and putting gas in my car. And then I also buy like the label, like the Stop and Shop brand. And I don't have to buy like the, branded items as well. So that's one way I save money.
One way that I save money is I shop at the clearance section. Clearance is great. Sometimes you get stuff that are off market or after the season, and they're still amazing quality, and you're able to get them at deep discounts. Laura, I want to prompt you now. Is there anything else that you would like to add on how you save money?
I think, all of those are great examples, and I think we all find ways to save a little bit here and there. But I want to make sure people are aware here. First of all, I want to say thank you to the credit union for putting on these workshops in conjunction with the HUCTW. But I also want to make sure, as I have a captive audience, that you all know the benefits that you have as a union member that can help you save money or help you if you have a financial crisis of some kind. So one thing that we have is something called a copay reimbursement program. So for folks who go to the doctor a lot, that could be anything you pay a $25 copay for. So it can be physical therapy, mental health, office visits, specialists. As an individual, if you see the doctor more than 9 times in a calendar year, you can put in for reimbursement from that 10th visit forward. And we're in a great time right now because you have until the end of March to put in for all of your copay reimbursement information for the previous calendar year. So this information can be found on our website. It's something that is only available to HUCTW members, so it's not necessarily that easy to find on the Harvard website, but I'm happy to put it in the chat when I'm done speaking here. And we have a number of programs that can help reimburse you because of the financial crisis that we're all in. People are moving further and further away from campus, and that requires extra commuting costs. So some of the things that we have to offer is something called the transportation fund, which can help cover some parking expenses if you, but it also helps cover T-passes past a certain zone, so that even though Harvard's already paying for half of that T-pass, if you are, I think it's in zone 5 or above, you can get some reimbursement for the amount that it now costs you to commute that maybe you didn't have before, maybe you did, but either way, it's something that can be utilized. We have an education fund for those of you who are taking classes that can help reimburse you. And for those emergencies, we have it's only for your home right now, but we're trying to change that, what's called a home emergency loan. For those of you who have just experienced that awful 3-day really cold spell where a lot of pipes froze, this fund is for things of that nature, things that happen to your house that you just cannot predict is going to happen. And it's a $2,500 loan that can help get you through that. That's something that we use with conjunction with the credit union. So it's something that we do together. We also have rental transition loans. So a lot of people, again, are finding themselves having to move. And if that happens to you, there is a loan through the credit union in conjunction with the union that can help cover first, last security and moving expenses. I believe we just increased that loan to $3,500 because sometimes it's not that you can't afford the rent, you just can't afford to get to the place where you can afford the rent. So this is sort of something that helps you out. It also is something that is a payroll deduction. So what happens is you take out your loan and 1/26 of that amount gets taken out of your paycheck through a pay period, and you have a year to pay it back. So sometimes that's just a much easier way to deal with that. We have a child care fund, which helps pay for child care expenses. So I just encourage you to go to our website and look around, but also to know what is available to you. Some of these things have hard and fast deadlines and some of them do not. So if you find yourself in any sort of transitional time, make sure you reach out to whoever your union rep is and ask if there's any fund or program that can assist you, and they will help you navigate your way there.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that valuable information, Laura. I
We
do
also
want,
have a comment on
yeah,
the Q&A when you get a chance.
definitely. I'm going to bring that up right now. So someone said, save money by opting for reusable products / eco-friendly methods. Rags or Swedish dishcloths instead of buying paper towels, stainless steel water bottle instead of buying bottled water, secondhand shopping over buying new. It saves money overall. It is eco-friendly. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thanks. So Deferring expenses. This is a different way that we can increase our cash flow. Whether you have federal student loans, I wouldn't touch them right now because they are in that deferment period, and there are some benefits that come with that are built into the loan because they're from the federal government, and I wouldn't refinance them just yet. Skip a Pay. Skip a Pay is available by some lenders. You're able to HUECU offers it, and you're able to skip 2 payments per year, and it's a $25 fee. If you know, let's say March is going to be a tough time for you, you're able to skip one of your loan payments and push it back to the end. Utilities, that's also a great one. National Grid offers 2 major programs that you're able to utilize if you qualify. If you're a bit older and you qualify for the senior discount, you can get reduced cost on utilities. And you're also able to budget out your payment so that way it remains the same month to month as opposed to fluctuating in the summer and winter. And that allows for better budgeting so that way, hey, I know I'm paying $150 every single month to National Grid as opposed to $300 in 1 month and then $70 in the summer. There's also insurance deductibles, and this is a great one that you're able to take advantage of by if you pay monthly for your car insurance or homeowners insurance. If you increase that deductible from $500 to $1,000, that actually reduces your monthly payment. But that also means you are responsible for the first $1,000 worth of any kind of insurance costs, that is any insurance claim that you make for repairs or anything that happens. Having that $1,000, yes, it could be your emergency fund, and it also could help you reduce your insurance payment on a month-to-month basis, thus increasing your cash flow. There's also debt repayment and looking at different ways to restructure, refinance, and kind of take your debt and make it the most affordable and cost-effective for you. We're going to go into a debt management plan, and hopefully we will give some great tips and you walk away from this presentation feeling a little bit better about debt and how to properly manage it. Now, as I touched on before, we're going to talk about calculating the cost of your debt. In this example we have here, we have 2 separate loans. One is 10,000, one is 5,000 for a total of 15. Two different percentage rates, and this slide really encapsulates the total cost of interest associated with this $15,000 loan. When you take out that loan initially, you may think, you know what, it's just 15,000. I can definitely pay that back. It's not that bad. However, once interest comes in, the terms comes in, you realize, hey, this is $7,000 that I'm paying to my lender that I could be using towards something else. I could use that towards a vacation. I could pay down my car a bit faster. And this might be a bit uncomfortable for some of the audience members, and I want to purposely show that because debt is a little bit uncomfortable, and the interest that you're paying back, I don't want you to pay back this much interest to your lender. I would like to see the funds used towards something else that makes you happy. That's what it boils down to. How do we make you happy with the funds that you'll be getting back from the interest that you've saved? And ways to do that is look for lower rates. You can refinance some of your debt into personal loans if that option works for you. There's refinancing loans such as mortgages, autos, and student loan refinancing. I wouldn't touch that right now because rates are extremely high, and I do want to acknowledge that. There's also debt consolidation loans, which is pretty helpful if you have multiple credit cards and you're making multiple payments to different credit card companies. Consolidating that into one payment per month that you stretch over 5 years might actually increase your cash flow in the immediate term because you're not managing the headache of 3 or 4 different credit card payments. Same thing for credit card balance transfers. And I do want to add a little bit of a caveat to this, where if you do take advantage of one of these personal loans, debt consolidation loans, or credit card balance transfers, don't use the credit card that you've transfer the balance from, because that will put you into more debt twice as fast. It is a good and useful product as long as you know yourself and you trust yourself with your money habits to not utilize that credit card that you transferred over to take advantage of, let's say, a 0% APR financing for 12 months. Now, if what we talked about, you've attempted, you're trying, and you feel like, you know what, this is really isn't working for me, we do offer a debt management plan courtesy of GreenPath. GreenPath, I will put the link in the chat a little bit later, and I'll have a slide on them a little bit later. But for now, what a debt management plan is you're able to take that credit card debt or other lines of debt that you feel like, you know what, this is too much, I can't manage this right now. And you can call GreenPath and they will actually set up a free consultation with you. They'll go through a budget and say, hey, you know what, can we have a conversation with one of their partners, because they do partner with lenders, to actually negotiate on your behalf for a lower interest rate. If I was paying 18% to, for example, a bigger bank, a Bank of America credit card, and I just feel like, you know what, it's too much for me, it's too high, I can call GreenPath and say, can we get on a debt management plan? And they'll negotiate with Bank of America and meet in the middle on an interest rate. I don't know what that new rate will be, and it may be different for each person's situation, but this is an option that we're able to take advantage of. They do provide free financial counseling, and there is a cost associated with this product. It is $10 per line that is entered into the debt management plan at a max of $75. What that means is if there's, let's say I have 8 credit cards and I want to place all of them into a debt management plan, instead of the cost being $80 at $10 per line, it would be $75 as a max. And they are different from debt settlement plans. Debt management plans look a little bit more favorable when it comes times to apply for those bigger loans from a lender point of view, as opposed to debt settlement.
I also wanted to add that the GreenPath, they speak over 130 different languages, and the 1-800 number, they can be accessed Monday through Saturday. So they're in Central Time, so we're able to reach them at any time as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a bit more of a deeper dive into debt management plans. This member, fully anonymous, was able to pay off their debt 40 months sooner and save $32,000 while on a debt management plan. Initially, they were making, I want to say, about $800 per month to their different credit cards, and they were being charged late fees and over limit charges of about $150. And on GreenPath, they were actually able to negotiate that down. They were charged a service fee, it was 5 lines, so $50. But the difference here and the real crux of it is the shift of the principal payment versus the interest payment and the interest charges. Initially, it was like $570. That was all going towards interest. And that's how these loans are structured. They're front loaded with interest, where that way the first payments you make, all interest and not principal. GreenPath is able to really renegotiate and structure that so that most of the payment actually goes towards principal and less goes to interest, thus saving you money and time in the long run. As we've talked about, here it is, GreenPath. GreenPath offers free financial counseling for credit, budget, and COVID-19. Please reach out. They're a great resource and great partner. That's huecu.org/GreenPath. And it looks like Dominique put that in the chat for me. Thank you very much, Dominique.
You're very welcome.
Now, increasing income. We've talked about a lot today. And the main goal of this presentation is to increase your income. We've talked about reducing expenses between food, taking advantage of strategic spending with shopping and whatnot. And you know what, if all that doesn't work for you, maybe the last bet is to find some way to pick up a side hustle, whether it's DoorDash, maybe even looking for promotions to see if that's available, a certificate, ways to educate yourself to become a little bit more on the edge for the market, so that way you can make a little bit more money. You can monetize a talent, I know Dominique has a niece who is great at doing hair. If you want to touch and add a little bit of color to that story, Dominique.
Absolutely. And if you're really good at baking, you could bake cakes as a side hustle, just to kind of drum up some money. And around the holidays, a lot of the department stores, they look for people to, man the store, and then they're flexible. So the hours are later. So you can do something like a 6 to 10. Those are ways that you can increase your cash flow without having to dip into your main money, just so like if you need to buy gifts for people as well. You're a good photographer, if you're a good writer, you can help people with their resume writing, or if they do speech writing. Those different things will also generate some income.
Do you want to talk about your niece that does the hair, Dominique?
Yeah, she does hair. That's her side hustle that's turning into a career. So and that's another thing that she just started, just that she has a natural talent for that, as well as a makeup. I don't know where she got that from, but
I think we know, Dominique. So next steps. I hope everyone that has participated in this presentation has a few concrete steps that they feel comfortable with, that they're able to take with them and really put into practice. And whether it be setting up a budget using the envelope cash method, whether it's Mint, Excel spreadsheets, but really starting the process with taking a look at your expenses, seeing where you can start to cut back and where you can really take advantage of those strategic savings. And if you have some debt, reviewing the debt repayment options, whether it's refinancing, restructuring, consolidating your debt, taking advantage of consolidating those multiple credit cards into one payment, or even a debt management plan if it feels like it's right for you. And please use the Q&A function. If you feel comfortable, please put in one money tip to try the next week that you have learned in this presentation, if you feel comfortable.
Someone has something, in fact. They said garden centers also hire part-time / extra folks in early spring, April, May, June. So you don't need to wait until the holidays for that work. That's good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Please visit us on our blog. We update it very frequently with new money saving tips. We are trying to stay current with market trends as far as what's going on and different ways to stay financially well in this changing economy. That is blog.huecu.org.
Okay, and then there are some people, we answered their questions. Let me see. Let me put the survey in the chat as well.
Okay, then we'll answer them live right now. This question is, my son is starting college in the fall and we are putting together all the financials. Are there any union benefits that can help, or you can speak about loans through the credit union?
So we at the union have something called an academic enrichment fund, which is for people's children who are ages 5 to 18. And although this doesn't help with tuition, it does cover college application fees, which can add up for SAT prep classes and those types of things. So it's not something that helps with tuition specifically, but it does help with the buildup to all the expenses that get accumulated during that, prep to college.
Thank you, Laura. One more. I think this is a tip. Save money by bundling trips by car, ordering excellent items at a discount on vistacost.com, and utilize everything you purchase. Quiches are a great way to incorporate those leftover greens and veggies in your fridge. Just a few tips. That's actually a really good tip. I had quiches a couple weeks ago, and they are phenomenally delicious and very easy to make. Blew my mind.
And I'll also add, we all want to have a social life, even if we don't have a lot of money or extra money lying around. And something that I think has started up again, especially during the COVID pandemic, but has continued, is people having dinner parties or potlucks, things that allow you to be social without spending the same amount of money to go out. Another thing my friends and I do sometimes is have drinks together before we go out, so that maybe we spend money on the dinner, but we've already had a glass of wine or a cocktail before we've left to save that money.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
That is a really good idea.
We have some more questions coming up. Someone said, biking is a way to cut costs of transportation, MBTA, gas, parking, and Harvard will reimburse you $30 a month if you submit the receipts. 2022 submission ended in January, but you can start for 2023. That's a good idea. Thank you so much.
And let's keep anything else that we want to cover before we end the webinar?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Keep the questions coming. I'm just looking
Yeah,
in here.
definitely.
I mean, I just want to say, and this is a personal thing, not an HUCTW thing necessarily, but we're all incredibly stressed right now about money. I think we're all still very stressed about the pandemic and everything that's going on. And, you know, now that the weather, except for today, has started to get a little bit nicer, you know, spending time with friends outside, going for walks, those types of things are incredibly beneficial. For me personally, I just find like sometimes walking and petting a dog can make me feel better. And I find that sometimes when I'm feeling down or frustrated, I might spend money that I wouldn't spend otherwise, because somehow it gives me like an immediate feeling of like relief. So I just think, you know, finding other things and ways to do that is incredibly beneficial.
Awesome. There's also one more thing in the Q&A. Biking is a way to cut costs of transportation, MBTA, gas, and parking, and Harvard will reimburse you $30 per month if you submit the receipts. 2022. Oh, sorry, Dominique, you read that, right?
It's good to have it repeated because when anything that's going to help us save money is good. That's fine.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, everyone, keep the up. There's another one in here. McDonald, you put that in here. Our Harvard EAP has great resources also, and it helps with us with stress, and there are some financial discounts. So it's in the chat as well. So it's hr.harvard.edu/employee-assistance-program. Thank you so much, Migdalia. Does anyone have any more questions? Keep them coming. I also wanted to remind everyone, just continue to stay in touch with us. This is being recorded, so we will have it on our YouTube channel at My HUECU. And follow us, give us a like on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook at HUECU. And also you can just go on our website for any of those tips that we told you about, any of those links at huecu.org.
And a special thank you to Laura for joining us from HUTCW. You're always a pleasure to have on. Thank you very, very much for your insight and providing those tips.
And Migdalia in the background, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. All right, I guess that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Stay safe out there. It's a little snowy where I am. Just be safe. Have a good afternoon.